JanBaskTraining. Learn and grow.
So this is session 1, Introduction to Cloud Computing. And today's expectation for this class is this. So we're going to understand what cloud computing is, what are its advantages, what are different models of cloud computing, what are deployment models, what cloud computing services are out there. Then we will just dip our toes into AWS, what it is, how it got started, why AWS, why each and every company is stepping on AWS, and what is its market share, why AWS is a leader. So what is cloud computing? So it's not like there is some cloud or there is some, Fugazi thing from where you are getting your compute power. Cloud is anything that you can reference, that you have out there somewhere. You really don't know where it is, because when you see a cloud, you really don't know how high it is unless and until you have real measuring equipment. And it's just someone else's computer. There is no cloud. So how the cloud computing model came into existence. So let me take you to a brief history of cloud computing. So initially what happened that, say, there were few big internet giants, for example, Amazon, running tens and thousands of servers. And you have your Google, you have your Microsoft, you have your Yahoo, you have your Facebook. So these people have to plan for worst case scenarios. And by worst case scenarios, I mean, say there is a Black Friday sale. Amazon has to prepare for that in advance, right? If they go out shopping for computers on the Black Friday market, they are not going to able to serve those orders, that huge amount of traffic. Similarly, Google. So say thousands of people just come online and start checking their Gmail, start doing Google searches, and that number starts growing as the day progresses to maybe a million, 10 million, billion, because these services have billions of users. Take Android, for example. There are over 1.5 billion users of Android right now. It's almost touching 2 billion active users at this moment of time. And to serve that huge amount of traffic, you need to have the capacity. And that capacity doesn't always remain at the peak. So say, I'll take example of Black Friday sale. So say on Black Friday, average 500 people shop. Those 500 people are not going to shop all 365 days of the year. You get me? There are maybe 10 or 20 login daily, but on Black Friday sale to grab those deals, all 500 login. So they have to have the capacity to handle those 500 users on the Black Friday sale, right? So 500 is really a small number, but I'll be saying 5 million or 5 billion or 50 million users. So to cater that 50 million user traffic, they have to have capacity there. Apart from Black Friday, all 364 days of the year, that capacity is sitting there ideal. They're not using it because there isn't that much of interest in their site. Maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe on Christmas, maybe around the holidays, maybe somewhere around 4th of July. But they won't be having that much traffic all throughout the year, maybe selected 10 or 15 days. So to really use that capacity, rest of the 360 days of the year, what they did, they started renting out their capacity. Okay, I have servers. I'm not using them right now. I will need them till, I won't need them till Black Friday. Why don't you take these on rent? I'll provide you a connection to it and you can use that. And that's how cloud computing model came into existence. Huge companies having huge amount of capacity and nowhere to use it, started renting them out, and cloud computing was born. So the first company that started this on a really massive scale was AWS, and that's why it's a market leader right now. So we'll go more into that. Let me jump back to my slides. So cloud computing, on-demand delivery, whichever company needs that capacity, they just have to, okay, you have this much extra capacity. I want, say, 20 servers on the rent. You get that. You have database, you have storage, you have compute power, and other IT resources like internet, like network. You have redundancy. You have multiple servers all available to you. So you get on-demand delivery of your compute resources. You get whenever you want. So say I'm a startup, right? I have a huge VC pitch today. Maybe I'm running a Super Bowl ad and I expect huge amount of traffic. What I do, I go to AWS. Okay, I'm expecting huge amount of traffic. Can I take 30 servers on rent? So it's just pay as you go. It's just rental. So you just go out there and just just give a few servers on rent and they'll give that to you. And it provides a really simple way, because earlier in the day, if you want an internet company, either you have to set up your own data center, you have to look for land, you have to build a huge building, you have to put air conditioning in for all those servers, you have to install server, you have to have hundreds of administrators managing that data center for you, and then you have to make sure that it stays alive. You have to have multiple power connections, you have to have backup generators, and each and everything used to add up a lot of cost. Now with cloud computing, all that is taken care of, and you can directly use that compute, that network. Because my target is not building a data center, my target is actually using that compute capacity, right? So if I'm a startup, say I'm just growing, I don't need to have a whole data center. But yes, now you can. Earlier in the days, you couldn't, because you have to had your own data center, or you had to rent space in somebody else's data center. But now you can just go out there overnight, you can build your idea and launch it to whole world, because cloud computing provides that, right? So cloud computing providers like AWS, there is Google Cloud Platform, there is Microsoft Azure, there is Alibaba Cloud, there is Oracle Cloud, there is IBM Bluemix Cloud. So each and every big wigs are stepping in cloud game, but they are a little bit too late, I would say, because AWS controls around 50% of the market. That's why it is the right choice of a cloud provider, whether you are learning or you are implementing something. Say you are a startup, you want to grow, you have to go where the market is heading, because if market is heading there, it must have something good. 50% of the cloud market, these are big industries, big companies. They don't invest their money on any product, they want best of best, and AWS is indeed best of best that is out there. And because they started first, they have an advantage as well, because these things take time to set up, right? AWS started first, they have that advantage. So cloud computing is here really, if you put it in simpler terms, rental service, right? You want something, you rent it for a few hours, you don't want it, you just shut it off. And that really gets you the saving. Say you are a company based out of maybe New York, and you want to build out a dashboard for all your employees, right? And dashboard has to have some compute power, some computer running, right? And your employees are in the office, say only 9 to 5. Now for the rest of the 16 hours, or maybe 15 hours, maybe 10 hours even, say some employees are extra hardworking, they work 14 hours a day, and for the rest of the 10 hours you don't need that dashboard, right? So what you can do, you can go to AWS, get a server for just 14 hours, you'll be charged just for 14 hours, and you'll save rest of the 10 hours of money. If you want to purchase your own server, you have to have that server in your backyard, in the company backyard, always running. You have to put upfront payment for it, buy it, and then hire a bunch of people to set it up, and then only you can get something out of it. So that's the basic of cloud computing, rental compute. So this is just what I explained. It's a utility service. You can access to your technology resource manage, always available on demand whenever you want to rent those house. No upfront cost. You only pay for what you use. It's like power. So say there is a power company and you have a connection, right? So connection in this case is just the internet. In case of power company, you have to have a wire running down to your house. Now you want to use, say, for the power for 10 days. You will be charged for that power for only 10 days, not the whole 30 days, only 10 days. That's how cloud computing is. You want a server for 5 days, take the server for 5 days. You will be charged for that only. You want something else for, say, you want storage, you want to store a 1 terabyte of data, 100 of GBs of data in the cloud, you can do that. So say you want to store that for a month. Yeah, no problem. Just pay for the month, because there is a huge capacity out there, and there are so many people willing to take that capacity. It works for both the companies as well as the users. So advantages of cloud computing, as I've been explaining till now, cloud computing is really on demand rental kind of model. So instead of having to invest in your own data centers, as I explained before, what you get a fully functional data center, directly connection into that, your own server spinning on the internet within maybe 5 clicks. And as we go along this course, maybe in 2 weeks, you will be able to spin up your own servers, connect it via your own phone, set up your own websites for yourself, for your clients, and for the prospective companies you are going to work for. So cloud computing is really going to put power in your hands, because many candidates often ask me, what I am just doing is just taking some rental service. Why would company want to pay me such huge amounts? Because nobody knows really how to use that rental service. A service is as good as its users, and if you are a great user, you can extract great value out of that service, right? So when you are saving company money, when you're saving a company a lot of money, companies will pay you a small fee. Simply a very economic world out there. You do something good for me, I'll do something good for you. That's how they usually work. And you get advantages from massive economies of scale, because Amazon has, say, million servers. They're using maybe 715,000 of those. They have 250,000 servers available with them, not getting used. They're putting them out for rent, and you can tap that power, avail them for cheap without having to jump all the hoops of setting your own data center, hiring people to manage that data center. So in earlier days, you had to have a whole building management and facilities team just to maintain that data center, and you're not getting any value out of it. The value is in the IT resources that are there inside the data center, not in the data center building. That data center building can be converted into a warehouse. It can be converted into a normal storage house. The actual value is the stuff that is running in there. And if you get that stuff elsewhere for cheap without having to jump through all the hoops, it's better. So stop guessing capacity. Now, let me take you into a scenario, right? So you are an IT engineer, right? So you developed something, you have a really good application, really great Android application, really great iPhone application, and you put it out there, right? So this actually happened with a couple of applications. I'll tell you the example. So there is an app called Pokemon Go, where you could go around the city catching Pokemons, and they were not expecting that it will pick up so fast. And what happened overnight, over million people started using that application. Now imagine sitting in their IT and taking hits of a million people. You have to serve a million peoples, right? Say they were in a traditional data center, what would have happened? Their data center is small, they cannot really expand the building overnight. First failure. Second failure, they have to buy the servers. Servers don't come cheap. You cannot get that much capacity upfront. And even if you get that, it is hard to set up those servers. They are going to fail and everything. And all this will take huge amounts of time. And if the site is down for even 5 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe a day, 80% of people won't come back to that site, because you're not healthcare services, you're not 911, you're not a stock market that people will come flocking for you. You are a business, you have to be competitive out there. And if you are not competitive, if you're not up, your opponents, your competition is going to have an edge, and you are not going to be that edge. You're going to lose customer, you're going to lose money. So with cloud computing, you get hundreds of data centers around the world just at a click of a button. So even if, say, god forbid, a whole region is down, say whole continent is cut off from the power supply, you have 4 other continents to go to set up their compute power, and you can serve users from rest of the world. So with cloud computing, you get speed, you get agility, you get capacity, because you're not going to scale up to Amazon scales overnight. Let's be clear about that. But yes, you can scale to Amazon in early days, and that capacity is there in AWS. Tap that, pay after a month. After a month, your ad revenues have come in, pay it. It's just like a rental, and you are on your way. So this is what I've been telling. Stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers, because you don't want to run and maintain a building. What you want is actually that compute power, and you want to have the agility to go global in seconds. So that's what you get here. So In cloud computing, there are basically three models. So I'll explain each one of these in detail, and it's very important. All right. So there are three models in cloud computing. One is IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. Then there is PaaS, platform as a service, and there is SaaS, software as a service. Now, to get a layman's view about what these are, IaaS is actually like having your own server. So, say you go there in a store and buy a computer. IaaS is only like that, except you don't have a physical access to that computer, you have virtual access to that computer. You get the storage, you get the capacity, you get the compute and everything. But yes, your access will be virtual, and that will be sitting in some data center owned by Amazon. So IaaS is like buying your own computer, but because in cloud computing you're taking everything as a rent, so that computer is somewhere out there in Amazon's huge data center, and you are just connecting it over the internet and using it, configuring it to whatever purpose you want. Then you have PaaS, platform as a service. So platform as a service is like Google Maps. So Google Maps is a platform for you. So you use Uber, right? So whenever you are requesting a ride, the Uber shows you your starting position and your end position and all the drivers that are around you on a Google Maps, right? So Uber is using Google Maps platform as a service to provide you the cab locations, to provide you to and fro, to provide you distance times, to provide you how much fare they are going to charge you by calculating the distance from point A to point B. So Uber is using Google Maps for delivering service to you. Another example is, say there is a bank, right? So bank wants to offer you some, say, credit card or a loan or maybe an investment scheme. Now there are two ways: either they take their servers, build all of the software, and then deliver it to you, or a smaller bank goes to a bigger bank. Okay, I want to offer my users a credit card. Can I use your credit card service? Can I use your credit card platform to brand it my own and then offer it to my users? That is platform as a service, because they are taking a already built platform, already built service, and repurposing it, reusing it. And then we have software as a service. So software as a service is pretty much each and every application that you use over the internet, be it YouTube, be it Gmail, be it your Facebook. So all these are softwares that are providing some service to you. Even a simple chat application like WhatsApp is a form of software as a service, because you as a business can use WhatsApp to send out text about your business to other people. Okay, so any chat service, any full scale service that you're using, okay, you're logging into your Gmail, you're sending emails from one person to another. Maybe your company wants to set up an email server, right? They just go to Gmail. Okay, my company's name is AWS and I want an email server. That should show AWS. But yeah, you can use Gmail or whatever service that you have in the background. But my user should be able to see only my brand name. No worries. We can do that for you, right? So that is software as a service. So I'll go to in detail of each one of these. So if you just read this slide, okay, contains the basic building blocks of cloud IT and typically provide access to networking features, computers, virtual machines or dedicated, and data storage. So what does a computer has? A network, a actual computing hardware, that is your CPU, and some storage, some hard drive, some SSD, some RAM is there. So IaaS is actually providing you that. You get direct access to that. So you log into your AWS account. I'll show you how we do that. And you get a server running maybe in 10 clicks. And if, say, you want to go to Best Buy to buy that same thing, you have to get out, you have to take your car, you have to go to Best Buy, pay for that server, bring that server home, get a specialized person to set that up for you, call your internet service provider to get the internet running on it, and then you have to keep it running, provide electricity, provide backup for it to just keep it running. And what AWS is doing is providing you all of that for a small fee. That is, there is no upfront charge. Say you want a second one, you have to again repeat that Best Buy process, but in AWS it's just same number of clicks away. And as we go advanced, there'll be, say, 20 text commands and you have your own server. So infrastructure as a service provides highest level of flexibility and management control. Why? You are getting your own server. You can talk to it however the way you want, and you can really take your value out of it with no upfront fees, no upfront charge, and huge amount of savings. And when you are doing savings for a company, that's when you are going to get paid. Because if you end up saving $1 million, a company would be happy to pay you $100,000 out of it. It's just a 10% commission, right? So platform as a service. So platform as a service removes the need for organization to manage the underlying infrastructure. So as I told you, Uber is using Google Maps platform to show you, okay, you have to go from point A to point B. This would be your fare. This would be your route. They're drawing that all Google Maps. How they're doing that? They don't care if Google Maps is running on 1 servers, 20 servers, 30 servers. In IaaS, you have to know, okay, I want 1 server on rent, 2 server or 30 servers. But in platform as a service, I just want my service, right? I just want this platform to work for me, and the rest of the capacity, the backend servers, the network, everything that Google Maps has to take care of. So that is where PaaS is. You don't worry about resource, you don't worry about capacity planning, you don't worry about any maintenance. The platform is there for you, you use it. Then we have our software as a service. Software as a service is like Gmail. So when you log into Gmail, you don't really care if Google is using 50 servers for you, or 5, or maybe 1 server. You just go there, type an email and send it over, right? Similarly, you are on YouTube, right? So you go to YouTube, you click on a video, you watch that video, and you are on your way. You don't care if that video was delivered to you by one computer that was sitting right next to you, or from a computer that is thousands of miles away. You just want your video to be used. So the underlying infrastructure, everything, you don't have to think about that. You just have to think about the service, that particular piece of software that you're using. Say I'm a smaller bank. I go to Goldman Sachs. Hey, Goldman Sachs, I want 20 people taking my credit card, but I don't want to build a huge software system for that. Can I use your software system? So that's what Apple did. Imagine Apple, biggest company, one of the biggest companies, they wanted to have a credit card out there. They didn't invented the whole credit card system. They just went to Goldman Sachs, asked them, okay, we want to offer users credit card. Can we take your backend? Can we take your service and just rebrand it as our own and offer that? Perfect example of software as a service. Say you have a company, you want to have your own email ID. Okay, go to Gmail. Ask them, okay, I want a Google domain. I want that service, but I don't want to jump through all the hoops of setting up my own Gmail server. Just give me an endpoint, just give me a web ID, just give me a URL, and I'll provide that to my users. No worries. Here you have it. So that is how software as a service works. So then now we have discussed about the cloud models. So cloud models, what are cloud models? How cloud models different from the cloud services that we just saw. So whatever model is out there, that depends on where that cloud is located, where those servers that you are taking on rent are located. And the service is how you are taking them on rent. You are taking directly the server on rent, you're taking the platform, or you are taking the whole software as a whole. So now we come to deployment models. The basic deployment models that are mostly used are public cloud and private cloud. There is hybrid cloud as well, but it is kind of small. Maybe depends on the company that you are going to work for, depends on the company that has already implemented it. So I'll go to each one of these one by one and explain to you what public cloud means, what private cloud means, and what hybrid cloud means, right? So let me go to the public cloud first. So public cloud is actually the cloud that anyone can use. So say we are 10 people here, right? And all of us want access to a cloud, right? We can go out there and ask Amazon to give all 10 of us accounts. They'll do that for you because it's public. We can ask Google Cloud to give us accounts. We can ask Microsoft Azure to give us accounts. No worries, you can have those. Because everything in public cloud is managed by a cloud provider, say in our case, Amazon, and they are giving you that capacity out there, and you can take that capacity on rent and you can use that. When you're done with it, you return that capacity away and you are happy. You can access all these services via just your web browser. So I've been working remote for last 2 years. I have not been into a actual office of a big company in last 2 years. You want to know why? Because I am a public cloud expert. I just sit in the comfort of my home. I just have my laptop, my web browser open, and 99% of the things that I do on the daily basis just require an internet, a laptop, and a web browser, right? And if you want to talk about the hourly rate for a good cloud expert, it's upward of $500. And I'm not joking. It's just a middle range rate. I'm not talking about huge numbers here. $500 per hour is the rate for a good cloud expert out there. If you are certified, if you are not certified, if you know your thing, you get paid huge, right? And you don't have to even step in an office because you can work remotely. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have a life to take care of, maybe you have your parents to take care of, maybe you have your community to serve, maybe you want to take a vacation. You can be working on a vacation because you have internet, a laptop, and a web browser, and you can do pretty much each and everything that you need to do in a public cloud, right? So cloud-based application is fully deployed in cloud. All parts of the application run in the cloud. You don't have to talk to anyone. You get a work. Okay, this is my website. I want this hosted on AWS, and I want you to manage it. You go out there, build the AWS infrastructure, charge a handsome fee, and you are on your way. You can do freelancing work. Just go to any freelancing website and search for cloud jobs. There are thousands and thousands of jobs out there. And those are only for the people who know their thing, right? So it's not like super difficult. It's not like super easy. If you just put maybe 5% or 10% of the effort, you're going to ace it. That's my guarantee. Because when I started 10 years back, 12 years back, cloud was not, nobody knew what cloud was. And there was no trainings out there like this one. There was no material out there to learn cloud. And still, it just got me little over than a month or so to learn that cloud. And that's what we have here. We have a little more than a month to learn this cloud, and we are going to ace it. So let's go to private cloud. So what is private cloud? Now, imagine a scenario where you already have a data center, right? So till now we have been talking into the scenarios that we don't have our data center, we don't want to set up our own data center. But let's imagine a scenario where we have our own data center. Okay, now when we have our own data center, we want savings too. So obviously we want to move to cloud, but what to do with the current capacity? I don't know. You're not going to throw that away because you have hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars invested in that data center. Another case, say you are a HIPAA company, you are providing health insurance, you are a hospital. You don't want your data out there in the cloud, right? You want some of the very private HIPAA data, the health and personal data, the personal information data, the credit card information. You don't trust even Amazon with it. Even though they have everything on you, you don't trust Google with it. So what you want to do, you want to keep that within your data center only. For all your public applications, you want those savings, but yes, you want to protect that data and you want to use your existing data center to its capacity. So what you do, you go out there, similar to AWS, you set up a cloud in-house in your enterprise, in your own data center. How you do that? There are hundreds of software out there. Famous one is OpenShift. OpenShift is provided by Red Hat. It's open source software, free for use. Set up it in your data center. Many people have heard about VMware. So VMware was the first one to offer actual private cloud. You have your huge servers and you get smaller servers running on it. And whenever you want to terminate them, you terminate them. You want to spin up more VMs, you spin up more servers. So it's kind of it's a niche market. It's a small market, but yes, it's out there, right? Then comes the hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud is what most big enterprises work. So private cloud is when you have your own data center, you just isolate it from public cloud. But if you want your existing data center and your public cloud provider to work together, you go to hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud will let you utilize the capacity on premise as well as your own data center as well as your public cloud, say AWS. So say I have 100 servers in my data centers and I want 100 more. So what I do, I connect my existing data center to a AWS, right? So AWS now has direct connection. We have direct connection to AWS. Whenever I want more servers, I just keep expanding AWS. And whenever my servers are no longer required, I just pull back from AWS and just use my existing data center. I don't buy new servers for my data center. No. But yeah, if there are servers there, I should be using them, right? So we are binding public as well as private cloud together. So this gives you more flexibility because you have an option to run on premise or your cloud, because you can run anywhere. No worries. You can use your existing infrastructure, you can optimize it, you can use it to full capacity. And if you want to expand, the public cloud is always there. And if you want to keep your data secure, don't put it out on the cloud, just put it in your data center. It's in their backyard. So say somebody comes for an audit, okay, here is my data in my backyard, you don't have to look in my public cloud. So you are safer that way. And compliance, yes, when you do audit, you get compliant. So till now, we've been just going around what cloud computing is, how it's done, what are its uses. So I'll show you something, right? This is Magic Quadrant for cloud infrastructure as a service worldwide. So Gartner is a company which runs various analytics out there, and they analyze the market, where market is heading. So this was published in July 2019, and it's same now as well. Even if you look at right now, AWS is even higher, and Google and Microsoft are trying to catch up. But I'll show you another slide where you will see, okay, they have no chance. So in the bottom half, there are niche players like IBM, Oracle, and cloud. Very small, very few selective cases. Don't have to worry about it. In the top quadrant, there are leaders, right? So leaders are Google, Microsoft, and AWS. See how AWS is much higher than Google and Microsoft, because AWS controls close to 50% of the market share. Amazon actually loses money on online shopping. If they didn't have AWS, they'll be out of business by now. So if you look at Jeff Bezos' empire, this is his empire, right? And Amazon is right there in the middle of it. All these companies, 80% of these are actually losing money. But the AWS is such a great company, such a great business, because whatever capacity they have, they're using it to the full. That you are taking the services on the rent, it's lighter on you, it's great for them. And that has sold this particular individual to the most wealthiest in the world. And AWS, I would say, contributed to 90% of the debt. So if you look at the public cloud market share, this is AWS. It's 47%. So 47% of the market in 2019 is controlled by AWS. So if you are going out there, if there are 100 jobs, 47, 48 of them will be in AWS, right? And if you know AWS, it's very, very easy for you to pick up Microsoft Azure or Google GCP. Reason being, because AWS is the most complete cloud that is out there. It's easier for the beginners because it's very well laid out, and it's great for the expert as well because it really has the power that you can tap into. So people ask me, why do you teach AWS? This particular slide is the reason, because you want your students, you want your patrons to succeed. And if you can give them an edge of 47%, that is a pretty good edge to succeed in a competitive market that is out there, right? So why AWS? Because it controls close to 50% of the market share that is out there. This is the reason why AWS is such a huge thing. This is the reason why cloud computing is such a big market. This is the reason why AWS leads all of them and why you should be learning AWS. This particular slide is the reason. I would like you to save this slide, take it screenshot, whatever, and just look at it while you are doing this training, while you're doing all the labs, because you are going to tap that 50% of the market. You are going to tap that 50% of the market of the cloud computing that is out there. And it's a huge, huge market, right? You are going to be the Amazon Web Services expert. Once you do this training, do some labs with me. I'm here to answer your questions, and you can do that. So till 2016, Amazon was completely concentrated in core business, that is e-commerce. So everybody knows Amazon.com, okay? One day shipping, free shipping, expedited shipping, good deals, Black Friday sales, Prime Day sale. There are huge amounts of sale. You get really good stuff for cheap, and they were just concentrated into that. But as I told in the starting slides, you are Amazon, right? So say you are having a Black Friday sale. On Black Friday sale, say 1 million people log into website. On a regular day, maybe 200,000, maybe 300,000. So you have 700,000 people worth of capacity just lying there idle whole year. You're not using it. So Amazon thought of a brilliant idea. Why don't I give this capacity on rent? I am not using it. Somebody else wants to set up their company. They don't want to set up the whole data center. They should be using it. So how Amazon did. In 2003, these were two guys, Chris Panican and Benjamin Black. They presented a paper how Amazon's internal infrastructure looked like. So they went into the data center, looked around, and wrote a paper about it. Okay. And as soon as they published that paper, they prepared a business case. Like, we are running a data center that is huge. We have a lot of capacity that is there. I think we should give this as a rent out. So the first service that launched was SQS, Simple Queue Service, which was just a simple service where you say, okay, I want these 10 jobs to be done, and I want these jobs to be done one after another. Take a really small amount of compute power. You just have to tell which one to go first and which one to go second, and you do that. So it was a great success. And in 2006, AWS was officially launched. Amazon launched a full-scale services around compute where they was renting out servers, they were renting out hard drives for storage, they were renting out networks, they were renting out databases. These were the basic offerings that they started with. And from 2006 it has grown ever since. Today AWS has huge amount of services. There is not even a single service that is not there in AWS that any other cloud provider has. In fact, 90% of the services that AWS has are copied by other cloud providers. Amazon was the first, Amazon was the original, and Amazon is the original till date, because even today there are around 15 services that are available only on AWS that are not available anywhere else. I'll tell you an example of a very niche service, and I don't think anybody else can implement it apart from AWS. Amazon even lets you have satellite stations on rent. Say you want to connect to a NASA satellite or any other broadcasting satellite, or you want to relay your message to the remote areas, you can have a satellite station that takes millions of dollars to build. You can take that on rent and you can really use that. So this is the power of Amazon, because with Amazon you can really have that power. Imagine renting a satellite station, renting a satellite capacity on, it's just crazy. No other cloud provider would even think about it. That's why Amazon is the leader. Okay. So in 2010, all of Amazon.com moved over to AWS. So whole of Amazon.com's global traffic is on AWS. So if anybody says, is AWS okay? Will it perform? Just ask them, have you ever been to Amazon.com? They'll say yes. Have you ever find it slow? No, because it's working. Why? Because it's on AWS. I'll show you the list of the companies that are on AWS and you'll be really surprised. And these are all different number. You can go all anywhere on the internet. But the main gist is how AWS started and how it has led till date and how it is going to lead in the future. So this is AWS's mission. Enable businesses and developers who use web services to build scalable and sophisticated applications. So you're using web services? Yeah, AWS. You are building scalable. Why? Because you can rent hundreds and thousands of servers. It's very sophisticated because you have all the services here and we can use that, right? And it's sophisticated. That depends on your developer, right? You cannot guarantee sophisticated. The sophisticated will be guaranteed by who? The user as well as the developer. As a cloud expert, you just have to build the part. What to run? Your developer will give you the code, right? So these are the quadrants. See how AWS is up there. And yeah, in 2018, AWS slipped small part. But yes, in 2019, as I showed you earlier, it was way ahead now. These are all the companies, just only the startups that are there on the AWS or the companies. So look at it: Workday, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Airbnb, SoundCloud, Dropbox, Tumblr. Each of these services have more than 500 million users. Each of this service, the top shelf, has 500 million users. You have Shazam, you have Spotify, Etsy, TinyCo, Reddit. All these services are heavily used, and if they are trusting AWS, if somebody comes to you tomorrow, why should I go to AWS? Just show them this slide. If these companies are on AWS and doing hundreds and millions and billions of dollars in revenue, I should be on AWS too. Because to run the services at that scale, they must be really smart. And if they have chosen AWS, I bet they are. These are the big companies. Those were the startups. These are companies. Look at that: Unilever, Shell, Thomson Reuters, GE, Qantas, Comcast, Samsung, Nasdaq. Each one, we use each one of these companies on a daily basis. You're using Expedia for your ticket booking, Adobe for reading PDFs, McGraw-Hill for the books, Pfizer, Lamborghini, Getty Images. All of these services we are using on daily basis, and they are coming right to us from AWS. We don't notice it because it's all working in the back. But yes, they are coming to us from the AWS. They are being delivered to us via really high cloud quality cloud provider. And all these companies are running their business on AWS. And that means it's a proven platform. It's not something new. It's not something that is yet to prove its worth. It's a proven platform, because you don't get this many companies, this many huge enterprises to come onto your platform and host all their website, all their customer data, all their transactions on your website, unless and until you are good. So this is it. And I'll quickly jump to the AWS console. So whenever we'll create an account in this class, and when you create an account, this is how it will look, right? And if you want to look at the services that are there, don't worry about it. If you don't understand it, it's just a website, just simply like Amazon.com. You just have to click on bunch of stuff, add to cart, and you are on your way. It's similar to that, and it's very easy to do. Don't worry if you don't understand all this, but I bet in maybe 2 weeks you will be able to make sense of all this, right? So I just wanted to get you into the zone today, explain you about the basics. And this is what when you log into, say, AWS console, how it looks like. I'll give you the link. We'll create an account for each and every one. You have to go there, use it, because unless and until you are doing practicals, you won't know. I can speak everything here. I can tell you, okay, this is cloud, this is how I create a server. But unless and until you do it with your own hands, you're not going to master it. And this AWS account is free. So you don't have to worry about paying for that. You just go out there. It's similar to creating an Amazon account or a Gmail account. Just go there and create an account, and you are on your way. You don't have to worry about, okay, I have to get access from there or there. It's free. It's free for use, and you won't get charged for it. As long as you follow the labs exactly I say, you are not going to charge, because it's very easy to. So whenever something is too good to be true, it probably is. So you have to use each and everything with caution. It's similar to a credit card. Okay, you have a credit card, you have a credit line, but you shouldn't be swiping it for each and everything, right? So similar is the case with AWS. Use it only what you need it for. Don't go out spinning unnecessary things, because you are going to get charged if you start using it out of bounds, right? So if you follow my labs, if you follow me, you are going to have a great time using AWS, and in no time you will be able to learn it. So these are all the services. So look at these services. Go to any other cloud provider's website, you won't find this many services. See how many are there, right? So these many services actually give you a huge amount of flexibility to do whatever you want. There isn't a use case when you want to run something and that is not there in AWS. And you don't have to learn all of this as well. You just have to learn the important bits, the bits that are used in your daily life. Because once you learn that, you will be always be able to make sense of the new ones. So new services get added to this every month or every 2 months, right? I learned AWS 12 years ago, but when you start using it, you will pick up new services very fast. So don't worry about it, and we will explore each one of these in detail, whatever that is important. And once you get the sense of it, once you really get the sense of it, you'll be able to go out there and get those jobs, and it will be very easy for you. Okay.
JanBaskTraining. Learn and grow.